Hey there, everybody. Thanks for hopping in here today. This is going to be a very special daytime edition of the Urban Bourbon Hour. Again, it's Chris, the Urban Bourbonist. I'm coming to you live, as always, here from the Urban Bourbon Bunker. So thanks for joining in on a Friday afternoon here for a little happy hour where we'll be talking with Bardstown Bourbon Company. Really excited and honored to talk to both Steve Nally, the Master Distiller, and Dan Callaway, who is the VP of Hospitality at Bardstown Bourbon Company. So it should be a really fun conversation. Two really great guys, very knowledgeable guys. Of course, Steve is quite legendary, and Dan is too in his own right. So it will be quite a fun conversation here. So just kind of waiting on Bardstown to join here. I see Bardstown Chicago is in here. I see Danny's in here. So it should be a good time today, guys. We'll have, if you have any questions, just leave those in the question box. So if any questions come up, hit that little question mark down there at the bottom of the screen, and you can send them to me. If I have any, if I'm able to, I'll try and get to some of those. It's easier to keep track of them there. So if you could, just send those questions through there if you have any. So just waiting on Bardstown to jump on here. Special 2 o'clock happy hour edition of the Urban Bourbon Hour. Typically we're doing this like at 8 o'clock or so at night, which that's always fun, but this is cool to do it during the day and have a conversation here on a happy hour Friday afternoon. So I don't know, I saw Danny in here, Dan Callaway. I was expecting them to come in through the Bardstown account, but we'll see here. Danny, are you guys coming on through your account or through the Bardstown account? Trying to see if I can find him here. What's up, Charles? So thanks again, guys, for joining. We will. Oh, here we go. Got the request. Dan, Steve. Hey, how are you guys?
Hey.
Good.
Here, let me. I'll flip my screen.
Here, I can do it. No, it's fine.
Okay, all right. Hey guys, how are you?
Good. We're just figuring, it might be a second. We're going to figure this out.
Hey Steve, how's it going?
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing well.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Hey Dan, thanks for flipping that around. Yeah, that's good. We can see both of you there.
Awesome. Cool. Can you hear it all right, Steve?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for doing this. Obviously, this is Instagram Live, something a little bit different than maybe you guys are used to doing when you sit down for an interview, but it should be a fun time here.
Awesome. Yeah.
So let's just kick this off. Again, thank you guys. It's really an honor to talk to both of you. It's really cool to have both of you on here at the same time. But Steve, let me just kick things off with you a little bit and ask you a few questions about kind of your past. I know I've heard you talk about it a lot, but you started off at Maker's Mark. In case people didn't know, Steve was there for over 30 years, and you were the master distiller there for 15 plus years, correct, Steve?
Yeah, that's correct. I started back in '72. Worked my way up from the bottom. I actually worked every job down there at one point in time. Became master distiller in 1988. Was master distiller for 15 years, as you said, and Then I went to Wyoming, built Wyoming whiskey, got it up and running. And in 2013, I had the privilege to come and get on board with Bardstown Bourbon and got this up and going and got to help and along with the team that's here now to get this to, and we're still growing. You know, we just won't even slow down.
I know, that's for sure. I mean, I had the pleasure of visiting last September, I think it was, and just a truly incredible facility and a really great experience there. And I know that you guys are even looking to do more as we come back online and as things start to open up again. But in that regard, let me just ask you, Dan, as the VP of Hospitality there at Bardstown, and with the way things are right now and things are shut down, you guys are still doing some pretty cool things from the hospitality perspective for all of us while we're quarantined. Can you talk a little bit about kind of some of the things that you guys are doing that people can participate in?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the coolest we just launched last evening, which is a weekly cocktail class with our brand ambassadors, Sam and Hobby. That runs every week. You sign up, you hang out with them, you make the cocktail. We're having regular daily virtual tours where you can hop on. I think you joined one, if I remember, pretty recently. Yes. See the distillery. We just got our new equipment in today for that, little gimbal, up in the technology a little bit to give people an experience of what it's like to be here. So, you know, looking at this time, not putting the brakes on at all. Behind us is the still running 24/7, still pumping out awesome bourbon, and we're just finding new ways to share it with you guys out there.
That's very, very cool. So speaking of that, the still being there behind you, switching back to you, Steve. So you guys, you're a very busy distillery. I mean, you guys, when you kicked off in 2016, I think you guys were producing a little over 1 million proof gallons of whiskey, and you guys have increased all the way up to, I don't know where it's at now, but last I heard you were at around 7 million proof gallons. So what is that like in terms of that? Is that still running 24/7? Like, do you have 3 shifts going, working on all of the products that you guys are doing and the collaborations you guys are doing?
It is. I mean, we've with the equipment that we originally put in, we were able to get up to about 6 million proof gallons. We have been able to put in some technical equipment, some economizing equipment to really streamline our process a little bit. That really has enabled us to get up to, this year we're going to crank out about 7.5 million proof gallons. So that's going to put us in the line of size-wise. We are now the 7th largest capacity producer in the world, you know, of anybody producing bourbon and whiskey.
Yeah, that's truly amazing. And so I've heard you talk before about the number of like mash bills you guys are producing and like the customers that you are working with. I know you guys are working with some really big names out there, Jefferson's, like High West. I think I heard Bell Mead. You guys are working with Kentucky Owl, Chicken Cock. So can you talk to us a little bit about the number of mash bills you guys are doing, the number of customers you have, and kind of how that process works working with those other distilleries?
Right now, we are with 24 different customers, and we are doing approximately 47 different mash bills.
Wow.
And we, you know, it's working good on our end and our customers' end. They come in, when they come in and want to work with us, they come in and we sit down with them, and we actually streamline the process to match their needs. We will start with the grains they want to use, the barrels they want to use, the process they want to use. So the process is actually customized to their need. And that's one of the very, very unique parts of the process that they have never ran across with anybody else. In the past, if they wanted product, they would merely go out shopping, and if they went to somebody else, they would say, do you have any extra product, first of all?
Yeah.
And if they had it, they would say, yeah, I've got product A, product B, do you want it? And they say yes or no, and that's pretty much all it was. And here, they come in, we sat down with them, we work through the process, and we streamline it to their unique needs. And if they have a product already, we will sit down and tailor the production to meet the product they already have. You know, taste profile, flavor profile, everything about it to match what they've already got.
Yeah.
And if they want to come in and work along with my people to produce the product, they can. You know, High West, for instance, they've sent their people in to work with my people.
Yeah.
They've actually brought video, or, you know, people in to video the process, and they use that in their marketing. So this is actually their home. When they produce their product, they come in here and work with us, and this becomes their home. And another part that we just broke ground for about a week and a half ago, we're in the process of bringing up a bottling facility that we're going to be able to offer them complete package, production, warehousing, and within about a year, we'll be able to do the bottling.
Wow. So it's really full service, like from the grain into the bottle. You guys are going to be able to work with those customers from the very start to the very end. It goes into the bottle and ships out. That's pretty impressive. And
Incredible.
what I think is interesting about it is that, like Steve, you had mentioned that normally, like if someone went to, just as an example, MGP, they only have like 5 things they can choose from, or whatever the mash bills are that MGP is producing. They say, well, if you want to buy something, it's one of these, and it may only be 2 of them that's available to purchase. But you guys are actually creating those mash bills with the customer and offering them, like you said, the ability to do whatever they want. And I have a question about that, because I would imagine that you might get some pretty wacky requests, like potentially from customers on something they want to do. Do you listen to all those requests? Is there stuff that you have to say, like, no, we can't do that? Like, what's that like?
We listen to all of it, and it really has to get weird before we say no. We have done organic grain. We have done Bloody Butcher corn. We have done Black Jewel popcorn. So, you know, it has to get pretty weird before we say no. Now, I'm not going to do agave or, you know, tulips or, you know, something like that. But anything in the whiskey or bourbon category, you know, we will pretty much do all of that.
All right, that's pretty cool. And then, Steve, I just wanted to ask you a little bit about from when you went to Makers and you went to Wyoming and you got that operation up and running, and then you came back to Kentucky to Bardstown. Like, what was the sales pitch to you to get you to come back from a new startup that you had kind of worked with in Wyoming to another brand new startup in Kentucky? Like, what was that sales pitch to you?
Well, I felt like at Maker's Mark, I was fortunate to learn the trade. I was privileged to work under T.W. Samuels, who was a great producer, a great custom producer. Sam Cecil was a chemist. He knew the production. I got the ability or the privilege of getting to know and work along with people like Parker Bean, Booker Noe, Jimmy Russell, some of those people that are, as far as I'm concerned, they're the pioneers of the industry. So I really got to learn the trade and know the trade during those years. I felt like when I went to Wyoming, I was really out of the way and nobody knew what I was doing. So I got to try my skills. Well, everybody knew exactly what I was doing out there. But anyway, I got to try myself out, and I kind of proved myself out there, I thought. So to be able to come back home to Kentucky, to be in the center of bourbon country, and I felt like at that time I kind of knew what I was doing. I felt comfortable, so I felt like I could come back here. When I took this job on, we really had the idea of producing product for ourselves. While we were building this facility, the idea of custom production came about. So this developed while we were building, and the idea took off, and it just grew. When we actually opened the doors and started the still, we had sold out 100%, except about 10% that we kept for ourselves. Yeah. We had sold out production of 1.5 million proof gallons.
That's amazing.
10 months later, we expanded to 3 million, again, sold out. A year later, we went to 6 million proof gallons, sold out.
Yeah.
So, all that growth has come from the custom production part of it. And that has given us the ability to let our product age without the rush of having to say, we've got to have cash flow. We have cash flow with our custom production, so we can let our product sit in the warehouse and age and mature without the worry of rushing it.
Yeah, and I can imagine too that because of the collaborations or working with these other distilleries, that it's got to offer you some flexibility to also maybe experiment with your own product that maybe normally you wouldn't have that opportunity if you didn't have the luxury of kind of waiting. Are there like some experimental things that you guys, you don't have to tell me what they are, but are there things that you guys are playing with because you have that kind of flexibility to do it?
Well, there's lots of things that, the collaborations that we're doing as far as finishes that we're doing, we probably wouldn't have been able to do that if not for the custom production we're doing. I mean, the juice that we're buying to finish in the wine barrels, the beer barrels, the cognac barrels, all of that's expensive. We probably could not have done that if it wasn't for the production we're doing. We're doing some experimentation with some other barrels that, like, we've got some French oak barrels we've purchased that we're going to do some finishing in. So a lot of that we would not have been able to done if we were, strapped for money, strapped for cash, that, solely for our own use.
Yeah. Well, that leads me to, so the distillery is up and running. It's a really, like I said, I was able to visit. It's a really modern, really interesting facility. So Dan, can you tell people that haven't been able to get there yet, or people that are planning to come down there, can you kind of give us a rundown of like what the facility is there, from the layout of it? You have the restaurant there, the experience. Can you kind of tell people about the whole hospitality experience there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and you nailed it. It's an experience, right? We want people to come, see the facility, tour the facility, sit down in our restaurant. I'll even show you here. Me and Steve are kind of hanging out. There's our doubler, but just to give you a feel for the scope of this restaurant, the visitors center went in. We just did our private bar out here by the Rick House #1, where you can do your barrel picks, hang out, do tastings, cocktails, just anything you really need to just become immersed in this world of bourbon and hang out with us. And in any given day, there could be 4 master distillers hanging out. It's really neutral ground in Bardstown. It celebrates the whole community, and it's just a wonderful place. Could not be more proud to be here and just every day come into this awesome facility. So I can't wait till we're open back up and running, and you guys can come out and see it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I heard you talk, or I read somewhere, Dan, that kind of the idea even behind the name of Bardstown Bourbon Company is that celebration of the city, of the Bardstown community.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. That's what we're about, is the whole world of bourbon. If you look on our back bar at the restaurant, you'll see all the bourbons lined up. With our collaborative series, we're learning from other distillers. We're working in tandem. I mean, we're all about collaboration. So, yeah, Bardstown. It's a great place to visit.
That's pretty cool. And so,
Yeah.
Dan, you started off at Bardstown as beverage director, correct?
Yeah. So when I came in, the room I just showed you, that was empty, and it was how do we do this? The law just passed where you could pour by the drink at a distillery, so it pivoted completely to open up this restaurant program. So came down, we started the bar, led to the restaurant, which eventually we opened our visitors center, led to tours, and then we kind of put that under one front-facing program. So, yeah.
That's very cool. And now you're in charge of all the hospitality there.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, there was a hotel in the works. Is that still something that's coming down the line?
Eventually, it's definitely still talked about. The big launch right now is our bottling facility.
Okay.
So we're gonna hopefully about 1 year out on that, and then we can look at the next big project here on site.
So it will be like that completely immersive experience if you're able to just stay right on site there.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we look at the Bourbon Trail, and we want to be that hub, where you can go out and see other places, but here, this is where you can do it all.
You can always come back home to Bardstown.
Exactly. Put that on a T-shirt.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to ask Steve, now that you guys have, I think you've been distilling now for a little over 3 years, correct? Is that about right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so when can we expect, well, first let's talk about, why don't we talk about one of your products?
Yeah.
So I have Fusion #1 here. I know you guys are on Fusion #2 already.
Yes.
So I have Fusion #1, and this is 60% your product in the bottle. And it's 42% a 2-year, 1 month, and that is a very high rye bourbon. And then a 2-year, 3 month wheated bourbon. So that makes up 60% of this product. You guys want to taste a little bit of this?
Yeah, would love to.
Yeah.
And the coolest thing to mention with Fusion, not only is it a window into what we're creating here, 60% our juice, but the process, with this facility and everyone in-house, Steve and the distilling team, awesome beverage team, awesome culinary team, all come together to make these blends. So it's a fusion of young bourbon and old bourbon, but it's also a fusion of different perspectives and a different way to look at whiskey.
Yeah, so again, it's 60% your product, but you've blended it with 40% of a 11-year, almost a 12-year Kentucky bourbon, which is also a fairly high rye mash bill, 18% rye.
Yeah.
And this is a collaboration within Bardstown to come up with this product originally.
Yeah, we had over 50 different options, with all the mash bills we have, and we sat down representatives from those culinary distilling beverage programs, and we put together blends and we blind tasted them. Everyone scored, and it worked like a NCAA Final Four bracket,
Yeah.
Each one went up against each other till we got to this one. This was the winner out of over 50. Proofed at 98.9, so it comes down a little bit. Just a beautiful balance on this. You get that
beautiful.
young spice fruit with the old age. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, this is very, when I smell this, it's just got, it's really kind of a little bit floral and herbal and kind of minty to me with some, vanillas and the traditional vanillas and caramels in there. Just, I mean, smelling this is just really awesome. But
Yeah.
Let's have a drink. Cheers, guys.
Hey.
Here's to you. Yeah, enjoy it.
Yeah, and this one, number 11, Whiskey Advocate, Whiskeys of the Year. So coming out of the gate, it's pretty awesome. One of my favorite sippers in the world right there.
I mean, it's really got, it's super complex. I mean, the marriage of that younger whiskey with that older Kentucky bourbon just, I mean, obviously you guys know you put it together. It just balances it out so well, and it just has a lot going on when you drink this. I mean, there's chocolate, there's honey, there's like nuts, fruits. I mean, it's all there, and then like a nice spicy kick at the end of it. I mean, really a really cool blend for sure.
Yeah, there's a reason it won out of the 50 different options. You know,
I can imagine. So let's talk. So I know you guys are on Fusion 2 now, but what I noticed on the Fusion 2 was that it remained that 60% Bardstown distillate with 40% Kentucky bourbon. Is it always going to be that ratio, and then it will kind of switch the percentages between the Bardstown distillate that's in there?
that was the initial thought, you know, as a way to show our product as it ages and we build to that true 100% release distilled on site. We're targeting around that 6-year point for that, you know, Bardstown bourbon. We'll see as it develops, you know. We also don't want to use all our eventual Bardstown bourbon in this, so we have tons of different mash bills and products, and we're going to keep blending and look at things and see what it'll be as Fusion 3 comes out, as the next iteration comes.
Very interesting. So there could potentially be a different mash bill that ends up in this as well?
Potentially.
Okay, very cool. And Steve, back to you. So speaking of the Bardstown products, Dan had just mentioned maybe a target of around 6 years for those to come out. So we'd be looking at maybe 2.5 years before we see strictly a Bardstown Bourbon Company sole distillate product come out.
We've kind of got a target in mind, but we're really hesitant to put a exact date on it because, you know, our projection is we're not going to release it till it's ready.
Sure.
You know, it's approximately that, but, you know, if we don't feel at the end of 5 years it's not ready, we're not going to release it. Again, we're not pushed to do that because of our working structure. So if it's not ready in 5, we're not going to release it. But that's kind of a rough working target, yes.
All right. So I don't know if you can say or not, but are you going to be releasing a couple products like as your flagships right away? Is it going to be a bourbon and a rye? Is it going to be a couple different bourbons? I don't know if you can say anything about it, but I'm asking.
We have about 5 or 6 different recipes that are potentially coming of age during that time period. So it could be 2 or 3, it could be 1 or 2. You know, it's just kind of, we have a couple of wheated ones, we have 3 or 4 different rye bourbons, and we have a high rye whiskey. So, you know, there's several that are in the process that are sitting in the warehouse that will be coming of age in about 2 or 3 more years. So, you know, just be on the lookout for them.
We'll say with the master of weeded bourbon as our artist, there's a good chance one of them's a weeded bourbon.
I was going to say, yeah. I would think that one would probably go that direction with Steve. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the collaboration series that you guys are continually updating and doing new releases. I would like to talk to you guys about this one and another one as well. So this is the Copper and Kings. I think this came out last fall. Is that right?
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Oh my gosh!
It just won double gold in San Francisco. It's an awesome product.
This is unreal. So this is a 11-year Indiana bourbon aged in Copper and Kings apple brandy barrels. I forget how long it was aged. Steve, how long were these aged at Copper and Kings?
That one was actually 19 months on that one, I believe. It should say on the side label, hopefully. Yeah. We're about, a lot of ours are 18. I think that went an extra bonus month. Got it up to 19.
I'm probably just not reading it, but okay, so around 19 months for this, aged in the apple brandy barrels. And this is just an unreal whiskey. I mean, this is like a top 5 bourbon for me at this point. I mean, it's really, really well done. Can you talk about a little bit about the collaboration with Copper and Kings and how that came to be?
Copper and Kings is the first ones that we did any collaborations with. We met up with Joe Herron way back in, I think it was early 17, and got to talking with him and decided to do a collaboration with him. One of the first ones was a apple brandy and a Muscat Mistale. And, you know, we put some juice in barrels, and Joe actually aged those down at his place in his cellar. And if you know Joe at all, he likes to rock his out, and he put them down in his cellar, and he played some hard rock music to them. And they came out, and they were really nice products. So we did some more with him later, and we have found out that doing the extra time really pays off. It really allows the barrels, the bourbon that you put in the barrels, to really marry together, to blend together, to really bring out some extra nice flavors that blend together in there. So pretty much everything that comes out of here is going to be somewhere around that 18-month time frame.
Yeah, because normally you see, like, I don't know, 4, 6, 8 months maybe you see on finishes from most places. And yeah, so doing 18 months is certainly, you don't see that very often at all.
Well, and some other things that we've done too, especially with wines and other products, that, you know, if you get especially a wine, you know, if you get a barrel all the way from California, and they dump the product out of the barrel, and they ship that barrel in July cross country, and it heats up in the truck, gets over here. What's happened to the juice that's left in the barrel? It dries out.
Dried, yeah.
It's gone bad. You get it here and you put bourbon in it. Well, what's in the barrel is already bad, and then you put bourbon in it. Well, when we get anything from there, we ask the people to leave a little bit of juice in it, and we'll get them to gas it, put argon gas in it, to evacuate the oxygen out of it, and we'll have them put it on a refrigerated truck to preserve whatever's left in it. They express ship it across the United States. As soon as we get it here, it'll usually come off the truck at about 35, 36 degrees. We immediately fill it with our bourbon, so the juice is fresh. Well, we fill it. It preserves it. Once the alcohol, high-proof alcohol, hits it, you got fresh juice in there, and that preserves your flavors. Yeah. So that helps it too. So the extra step means a whole lot in the product you get out of it.
Yeah, totally. And that, again, just goes to show, like, the innovation and, like, how modern Bardstown is in their processes. I mean, to go through all of that to get used barrels you know, to your facility to fill with bourbon tells you everything I think you need to know about, like, the quality of what you guys are doing. I mean, that's really incredible.
And we try to showcase the partner we're working with too. I mean, most everybody else just uses a wine barrel or a brandy barrel or rum barrel. They don't really tell you who it comes from, where it comes from, or anything about it. We partner with our people. You know, we tell where it comes from. We showcase who we're working with. You know, it's on the back of the bottle, who it is, who it's. You know, we want to be transparent. We want them to know where it comes from, who it is we're working with.
Yeah, I think that's probably, like, one of the biggest things I think that Bardstown is known for in, like, the whiskey community here, like on Instagram and social media, is your transparency and how open and honest you guys are about everything that you're producing, how it's produced, where things are coming from, your collaborations. So, I mean, I think that goes a long way, you know, to the whiskey community when we can look at your product and we don't have to guess about anything that's in the bottle. That's huge for the consumer. I mean, that's really, really big.
Well, a question that I've heard and you've heard for years and years is, you know, how's this made? Where's it made? You know, what's going on inside of this? You know, what's being hidden? And, you know, there's ways of finding out nowadays. So if you tell somebody something that's not true, they're going to find it out.
It's
And
true.
then you look like the fool, not, you know, they're not, you are, because you tried to hide it.
It's true.
So, yeah.
And, you know, and why not just tell us what's in the bottle? Because, you know, someone, you know, that cuts out any, you know, stories that could come up about what's inside the bottle. You already told us, so there's no question about what's in there, which is really big. And it's, I think, to your advantage and to the consumer's advantage to do it that way. So it's great. But let's talk about this Copper and Kings a little bit. Let's taste this. Do you guys have this there?
We you know what's crazy? That Copper and Kings is totally sold
that
out.
disappeared. Yes.
You're holding on to a unicorn now.
You've got something we know.
Yeah.
We have the prisoner collaboration, but man, that apple brandy's long gone from here.
All right, so let me just tell everyone about this. So again,
you can rub it in.
It's the 11-year it's the 11-year Indiana bourbon in this with which is the high rye, I think 21% bourbon, then finished in the Copper and Kings for 18 months. But it's really it's like sweet cinnamon and just baking spice, and I have to say the finish on this is just out of this world.
You're hurting us over here, man.
I don't mean to rub it in, but I'm just trying to describe for the viewers.
Oh.
Okay,
right,
so
how is it? How is it really?
I mean, that I said that's seriously a top 5 bourbon for me. I mean,
me too.
It's really that incredible, and I think the finishing on that is just so complimentary to the bourbon. You guys killed it on that.
I know. Too much. It's all gone.
All right. Well, it is. I'm actually shocked. There was like 3 bottles on the shelf here in Chicago like a week ago. I bought one, and then I told 2 other people here in Chicago, hey, if you want this, this is where it's at. And they were gone like within the next hour. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen it for a while around here. So, man.
Well, here's the other one that I have. Do you guys have this one there? This is brand new.
Man, you got the Bob. We have one. That is our newest. This is in the running for best collaboration to date. Amazing stuff.
All right, so tell us a little bit about this, Danny, and this collaboration.
Yeah, so this is Chateau De Laubade, who actually just won a great award out of San Francisco for best brandy in class. Incredible. A lot of people with Armagnac, lesser known spirit than cognac. A lot of that's due to just less distribution a long time ago, not having a distribution outlet compared to cognac. Uses old column stills, so you get kind of this rustic, more fiery flavor in it. They shipped over 100-gallon barrels to BBC, and they reuse the barrels in Armagnac, so they don't often leave the premise. So they actually took the roof off the facility, part of it, to get these four huge barrels of Armagnac, shipped them over to the U.S. We filled it up with some awesome 12-year bourbon, aged 18 months. Comes out 118 proof on this, and we have ours right here. Beautiful nose, kind of like a honeyed note with some florality there. Just an awesome profile that came from this, aged right here on site.
Yeah, I mean, look at the color on this thing too. I mean, it's so deep and like dark.
Yeah,
but
and it's the finish. You know, when you know a finish is well done, it's apparent. You know, it's apparent that it's a finished product. It's there, but it just blends beautifully with the bourbon itself. It's not sticking out. It really is kind of a marriage of 2 flavors.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it on the head when you said this is in the running for the best collaboration.
Yeah.
I mean, again, this is like the accent of the Armagnac on the bourbon is just so well done and just marries together so well. And again, I don't know, the finishes on these, that Copper and Kings and this one is just, it's just crazy. Your whole mouth just tingles and just you want to go back for another sip of it. It's really, really amazing.
Yeah. We're thrilled about this one. This is one we really hope to do again. Just because it's just been awesome company to work with. That's the thing. People ask how we choose the we're excited about what they're doing, what they're creating, and it's companies that we think the flavor profile will work. You know, so it's a long process to make these selections, and you know, it's something we're always going to continue to do, is collaborate with other great partners.
Yeah. So Steve, with the Fusion series, you guys also have the Discovery series, which is your blending of all sourced products that you guys blend together and release. Can you tell us a little bit about is that the same sort of process with Discovery as with Fusion?
It is the same process. With the Discovery, the one thing is there's only a limited amount of product that's available. We have to go through a broker, you know, to acquire the product. So, you know, we just find product, and then once we get it here, we will pull samples, and we will, as a group, decide, you know, what works best together. Sometimes you can get a couple of really nice products, put them together, and they're really not all that good. So, you know, we went through, I think, about 25 or 26 different blends, and pretty much rated them on a scale of 1 to 5, and came down with this one to pick out the very best one. I'll go back to a funny story. One time, it's been several years ago, we came up with the bright idea at one of the bourbon festivals here in Kentucky. We were going to take everybody's product that was in the festival, which was all the Kentucky distilleries, and mix them together to make a festival product. It was terrible. You know, it actually was. And so we scratched that idea real quick. But the same thing is blending the Discovery. You know, you go through and you mix the products, blend them together to get a really nice product. And that's what's happened here. You know, we blended some together that we acquired, and we came up with really a nice product. But, you know, it's not just typically a distillery. The distillery team, which is led by myself, would have a group that would blend together. Well, here, you know, we decided to use culinary. They have a different perspective. Beverage has a different perspective. And even management, marketing, they have a different perspective. So we combined all the groups together and got everybody's view on it, and come up with really a quite unique process, and really developed a unique, very fine product.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely working for you guys for sure. It's really an innovative approach to creating those blends on both the Fusion and the Discovery. So as far as those products go, the Fusion, the Discovery, and these collaborations or the finishes, what is the kind of release schedule for those? Are those going to be once a year for each of those, or how do those work?
Well, we've got the next iteration of Fusion Discovery coming out. We're targeting this summer for those to come out. So just when the blends are right and we pace it as things age, it's an intentional, deliberate build. You know, we started out our first year just in 5 states. We're going to 10. We're adding about 5 states a year. So, you know, Ohio's the next one to open up. We're about to open up Ohio. But it's, you know, intentional and deliberate, and you'll start to see more products come out as we grow.
So you said about 10 states is distribution right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, depending, you know, how you count D.C., Maryland, Delaware. We opened up that with Colorado, with Vegas, with Nevada this year, and going into Ohio currently.
Okay, very cool. Well, guys, I really want to thank you. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I really want to thank you for taking the time to do this with me today. Is there anything you want to add about like what's coming up here with Bardstown, either in terms of like the hospitality side, or Steve, anything that's interesting coming from the distilling side that you guys want to leave us with?
I've got one big shout out, which is our current competition that's going on, our world's top whiskey taster. You know, go to bardstownbourbon.com, check it out. Basically, you submit a video just with passion, enthusiasm of why you should be the world's top whiskey taster. $20,000 prize and the opportunity to go to festivals. You don't need to quit your full-time job. You can do it on the side. Represent Bardstown Bourbon Company. So check out World's Top Whiskey Taster. It's an awesome initiative.
Yes, that is very cool, and I've seen a few of the submissions that people have put in already, and they're really, really great. So very cool initiative. So again, guys, thank you so much for joining here today on the Urban Bourbon Hour. I mean, super pleasure to meet both of you. If you're ever back up in the Chicago way, I'd love to meet up with you guys in person. But this is great. This is really fun. Thanks for taking the time.
Hey, I've enjoyed reaching out to you. Can't wait to do it live, be in person. Until then, this is the next best thing. When you get back down this way and we're open again, be glad to have you here to see our beautiful facility and
Absolutely.
see what all's going on.
All right. Well, thank you, guys. You have a wonderful rest of your day today and a wonderful weekend ahead. And hopefully we'll see each other in person soon.
Cheers.
Cheers to
Cheers,
you.
guys. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for joining that happy hour edition of the Urban Bourbon Hour. I think we learned a lot of cool things about Bardstown Bourbon Company, talked about some of these expressions that were really well done and kind of the process behind those. So thanks for joining today, guys. And until next time, it's Chris, the Urban Bourbonist. Cheers.